How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. Over on our total for the daily, if you zoom in, we did attempt to get our break down, but we did pull back into our channel. So we will jump to the 1 hour to show that real quick. You can see we did attempt to push out back here. We did manage to maintain within our channel and push forward overall. So this rising triangle did take over and push us up like we did mention, but it did not take us and break us back down. We are making more of a consolidation move. If we continue to see this kind of consolidation, we may be able to make some sort of a bull flag, but I would exercise caution. We kind of consolidated away from the possibility of the breakdown, right around where we would have seen it. So back from the daily, we'll start at the daily and then we'll look at the 1 hour's indicators. Remember, we are using Market Cipher B edits and Market Cipher A free version. This is all free on TradingView. Your inputs on Market Cipher A will be as following. Your style as following for your EMAs. Your opacity 70%. Market Cipher B, we just changed the wave. And I believe there might be some checkboxes that are changed over here. RSI is heading down. Momentum is making bearish divergence. As this red line, our RSI, heads down, that does show we are going from overbought to becoming sold off. Once we become sold off, price action does typically make a bounce, make another run. So we'll go from being way up here to way down here. That's not going to happen overnight. As you see, it took quite some time for us to get up here. RSI will weaken if the stochastic stays below 30. Right now our stochastic's right around that 50, so that is positive. Below 30 is their neutral area. Once they're below that 30 area, they do tend to favor more bearishly. Our money flow, our green wave, does show if we are trending forward or trending downward overall. While our money flow is green, price action does have the potential to push forward. Remember, we could attempt to break this higher area at that 743 still. Our momentum, our big blue wave, does have bearish divergence with this red line highlighting. Bearish divergence indicates we could get a sell-off, so I would exercise caution. If we get a sell-off here, we will see the bears drop us lower. Money flow is starting to taper off. VWAP isn't very strong in bullish territory. If we zoom in, it is starting to roll back away from that neutral. So if we do see that VWAP break down, we will see momentum weaken, money flow will weaken, and then price action will be breaking down. Remember, this is more gradual. It's not going to happen all in one fell swoop unless you have that red money flow. Over on the 1 hour, RSI is pretty flat. It is overbought. It's been overbought for quite some time. Stochastic does want to round away. Money flow is in the high territory. It is pretty overbought right now. It's pretty flat, so it's kind of going indecisive. If this VWAP cannot sustain above this zero, and we see VWAP break back into bearish territory, it could start to favor bearishly. If we get strong waves in the bearish territory like back here, or like back here, that could start to weaken our momentum. However, if our VWAP manages to make a bounce here and continue forward, this consolidation could create a bull flag. Remember, when you consolidate after getting a break forward, that is a bull flag. That would have the possibility we'll go off of here because this was a breakdown, so we'll go off here to here based off the 1 hour. That could push us to 721. If we jump on the 1 day, you really couldn't draw a flag. So that 1 hour is a possibility, but remember, since it's such a new pattern, it could get invalidated easily. I would watch this VWAP. Currently, the VWAP has higher lows with higher highs, so we do have a bullish trend. If that VWAP can roll up and continue forward, we could create a bullish trend that could continue to push us up. I would exercise caution though, because if our VWAP does reject, we can see the bears gain control here. Over on dominance for the daily, we'll zoom out. We are trying to reject that point control. We do have a manipulation X. That is not too good. It could act as a long lower shadow. That could show bears are getting exhausted. So I would watch the lower time frames. Our VWAP isn't favoring the bearish territory. Momentum is pushing down. money flow is weakening, stochastic's weakening, RSI is weakening. But if this VWAP can break forward on our lower time frames, money flow can remain bullish and prevent us from breaking down. Remember, we could hit that neckline, make a bounce, continue back up, or we could start to bounce from here. Over on our 1 hour, money flow is heavy in that bearish territory. VWAP is making lower lows, so we do have some significant bearish strength still. Momentum is rolling away, so our momentum tried to break bullish. VWAP tried to break bullish, and we pulled back. That does show that dominance did try to get a run forward, but it kind of weakened, tapered off, and we could have a sell-off if this continues. If our VWAP continues to favor bearishly here, momentum will pull under, and that money flow will remain heavy in the bearish territory, and we could see a push like back here. That would result in Bitcoin getting pretty decent sell-off, because if dominance is slipping, that means people are getting rid of Bitcoin, or people are aping into altcoins if we see total rip, dominance slip, and Bitcoin goes pretty flat. Over on Bitcoin futures, we're still within our rising channel. We did break our resistance of our 69K. RSI is trying to go flat. Momentum does want to pull back. So now we do have a candle body filling this wick that we created that other day. Money flow is pushing forward. VWAP is pretty flat here, so I would watch this VWAP. The VWAP does want to kind of curl. If it does curl away from this neutral, it will gain bearish strength. If that VWAP gains bearish strength, momentum will weaken. As that momentum weakens, money flow will weaken, and this trend will become in jeopardy as we would create more of a bearish environment. Remember that money flow dictates where your trend will go. Stochastic wants to round, RSI wants to round, smash that like. VWAP wants to pull back. This is on the 4 hour. Momentum is trying to run forward. RSI wants to pull back. So overall, we could see a rejection if we're not careful. We are seeing a pullback along upper shadow candle possible. So if we close this candle and then we see a strong red candle follow this green candle, like we close down right around the 68,140. If we close right around there, we could see a rounding top, drop us away. This rising channel would break down. This would be our third touch, and we would see the bears gain control. VWAP is in the bullish territory. Momentum is bullish. RSI is weakening, so I would just watch things. Over on our 2 hour, VWAP does want to break toward the bearish territory. Momentum does want to round. Stochastic and RSI want to break down. Money flow is starting to lose some strength, so if the 1 hour starts to break more bearish, we do have this strong red candle on the 1 hour. If we break this support and we continue to break down after, we could see more bearish momentum and we could get a strong push to the downside. However, if we rebound like back here, we will invalidate this channel and we can try to push toward that 72K still. Stochastic does want to push down. RSI wants to break. Momentum wants to round. VWAP was bullish. It was stretching in the bullish territory, but now it's starting to head back down. If our VWAP gets a lower low here, we will see the bears gain control. However, if our VWAP gets a higher low, then we get higher highs. We will see the bulls remain in control, push this 1 hour further high, and then we will see the higher time frames propel forward as well, and then we will create another new high. Over on Bitcoin for the daily, we are still within our channel, but again, if futures does get that rise forward, Bitcoin is going to follow. RSI is pretty flat. It does want to gain some strength despite the stochastic trying to sell off. Our orange is above blue, so I would exercise caution. Momentum does want to push down. Money flow is flat, and the VWAP is in the bearish territory. It does want to round away again. Smash that like if you haven't already. Over on the 4 hour, also subscribe if you're new. A lot of you are new, so you may not see this channel again. Make sure you're subscribed. Stochastic does want to come down. RSI wants to go pretty flat. If the stochastic continues down, RSI will lose strength. Momentum does want to round. Money flow is weakening, and our VWAP is in the bearish territory. If this VWAP favors the bearish territory here, the 4 hour will break into a bearish trend. We will break our support, and we will see this channel start to play out. Over on this 2 hour, we did come up near that Fibonacci area. We are somewhat consolidating. So after getting this pullback, a consolidation is not ideal, because a consolidation after a breakdown is not like that from a break up. It creates a bear flag, not a bull flag, that pushes you right around that 67K if we're not careful. RSI is going flat. Stochastic is trying to rebound. If the stochastic can favor bullish and the VWAP can continue back up, we will see this 2-hour propel forward. However, if this VWAP starts to pull back, momentum will continue to weaken and that money flow will continue to slide, which will lead to the higher time frame starting to weaken if we are not careful. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic does want to round here. RSI is going flat. Momentum is rounding away. VWAP is starting to pull back, so I would exercise caution. We are making bearish divergence as this momentum kind of tapers and price kind of tapers off and gets a little weaker. We could see the bears gain control if that momentum starts to break down and that VWAP gets these continued lows with these weak highs. We will see that VWAP break down, momentum would weaken, and then as that momentum would weaken, money flow would come out. However, if our VWAP can sustain above the zero or get a higher low, and then follow it with strong higher highs or continued highs with long stretches in the bullish territory, then we could propel forward. Over on graph for the daily, we did make a run toward our 49 area again. Momentum is overall divergent still. RSI wants to weaken, momentum wants to taper off, VWAP wants to pull back, and the money flow is running up. But if that VWAP starts to taper off, our momentum will weaken, which will result in the eventuality of money flow weakening. Over on our 4 hours, stochastic is going flat, RSI is going flat, momentum does want to pull back, VWAP is making lower highs. If we break for a lower low, we will create a bearish trend. If we confirm that bearish trend under our neutral, under that zero, our momentum will break down and the money flow could become bearish. Over on the 2 hour, we are pushing forward, but this could create a long upper shadow. If we create a long upper shadow, that will show the bulls tried to push us up, but the bears are stepping in. Momentum does want to make bearish divergence. Stochastic is trying to push forward, but making bearish divergence as well. RSI wants to pull back, and that VWAP is trying to round away. If it rounds away here, we will make a lower high. If we break down for a lower low and we get a strong stretch like we did back here, this momentum will break down and that money flow could push back into the bearish territory and we could revisit the 37 and 31 areas. Over on our 1 hour, we do have that long upper shadow. It's a pretty strong candle here. If we get a strong red candle following this, we could make a rounding top that can break us down. RSI does want to taper, momentum wants to taper. Stochastic is getting lower highs despite price action making higher highs, so we have bearish divergence forming. VWAP does want to go flat. If this VWAP starts to drop and we get lower lows with lower highs, we will see the bears gain control, but the VWAP does look positive to continue the bullish trend with this run forward. Over on Ankr for the daily, we will delete this, kind of see where we landed. We did try to kind of push flat. We tried to push down, we tried to push up, we really didn't go anywhere. So that symmetrical triangle really didn't play out. That shows when you have those lower time frames. I believe it was a pretty new pattern. Yeah, that's a pretty small pattern. When you have these weak, smaller patterns, they aren't likely going to play out as often. You could try to stretch out where it'd be a bit of a bigger pattern if you go off of here. Maybe drop this down to capture here, but we really don't have many top levels then, or any. We have many bottoms, but not very many tops, so we would want to get rid of that overall. That pattern would no longer be a possibility. It'd no longer be something you'd want to watch for. Our flag would still be in play. This flag could be getting extended, but we'll cover that in the lower time frames. Our momentum does want to make bearish divergence as we are losing some strength. Stochastic wants to round. VWAP wants to break bearish. Money flow is pulling back. Stochastic wants to make a break. If that stochastic breaks, RSI will break. Price action could follow, as that RSI does show prices heavily overbought right now. And once we make a break from this area, we are likely going to start to push down. Over on the 4 hour, You can see that flag is pretty strong in this range. RSI wants to pull back, momentum wants to pull back, stochastic wants to pull back, money flow wants to pull back, and the VWAP does want to pull back. So you could see that wick to the downside. You could said the bearish pattern played out. We did have two bearish patterns. When you have more than one bearish pattern, they likely will play out. I was betting on the bullish pattern, more on the rest of the market playing up. But it seems the market kind of pumped. Some coins went up, some coins went down. So things weren't more cohesive as they typically are. Our RSI does want to pull back on the 2 hour. We want to make a bearish engulfing candle. A bearish engulfing candle could end up bringing us down, and we could see this bear flag playing out. VWAP does want to pull back. If that VWAP breaks that neutral, and we get a lower low, and we start favoring the bearish territory, momentum will flip back into the bearish territory, and that money flow will break down, resulting in the higher time frames pushing under. If we look at the 1 hour, we could be making a rounding top. If we follow this with a strong red candle, we could see a downtrend like this. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is weakening, momentum wants to weaken, we have a red dot as that VWAP wants to break bearish. If this VWAP makes a lower low, we will have lower highs with lower lows, and then that can create a bearish trend that will pull momentum back, and that money flow could pull back just after getting close to that neutral and attempting to flip back into the bullish territory. If our money flow can't flip back into the bullish territory on the 1 hour, we likely will see a pullback on the higher time frames. Over on XRP for the daily, we are going pretty flat. We are holding our ground on our EMA. If we can continue to do so, we will make an attempt toward that 67. RSI is going flat. Momentum is starting to taper off, so I would watch, but that's based on this kind of indecision candle. It is a long upper shadow kind of, but it's more of a dragonfly. I don't really trade on the dragonflies. We do have a reference to them in our Discord. Again, if you haven't already, smash that like. We are getting near the end of our video. Also, if you're not subscribed, subscribe, as many of you are new. Stochastic does want to push down. We have our orange above blue. That could result in RSI starting to slip, and price action could follow. So I would exercise caution. VWAP does want to pull back just after trying to break through this neutral. That could create some bearish momentum. Stochastic does want to drop. So overall, the daily looks indecisive at best. Over on this 4 hour, we could be rounding away. This could create a rounding top that could drop us down. Stochastic does want to push down. RSI is overall starting to go flat. Money flow is pushing down. VWAP is in that bearish territory. Is trying to push forward, but starting to round away. If we get a lower high here, we could make a lower high with a lower low. That would create a bearish trend, and then we will start to break down, as we did reject our two EMAs on this 4 hour, and that could result in us breaking this yellow and pushing down toward our red EMA. Over on our 2 hour, we are breaking away from these three EMAs still. We're kind of indecisive. RSI is flat. Stochastic is pushing down. We do want to ramp up and curl back forward, but if we can't break through 30, we will see this RSI break down. VWAP is trying to break neutral, but it's struggling, so if that VWAP pulls back here, we will see the bears remain in control, and that money flow will start to lose some strength. However, if our VWAP does flip bullish, momentum will propel up, that money flow will remain bullish, and that's where we would see that push to our 67. Over on the 1 hour, we are somewhat consolidating here after getting a breakdown that could create a mini bear flag that could try to drop us lower, so I would exercise caution. That would probably be a drop around this gray or black EMA level, right around that 60 cents. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is rounding. VWAP does want to break bearish. The VWAP does have a lower high, so if we create consistent lows or lower lows like back here, we will see bearish favor. This momentum is pulling back. If that VWAP favors bearishly and momentum pulls back, and money flow can flip bearish. If that money flow flips bearish and sustains bearish momentum, we will see that kind of drag into those higher time frames that will cause higher time frames to slip, and then we could revisit that 57 or possibly the 54 area. keep that possibility in mind as well. Over on ALGO for the daily, we are starting to pull back. Momentum does have bearish divergence. Stochastic is heading down. RSI wants to weaken. VWAP wants to break neutral. Money flow is flat, so the daily is not very decisive. It's very indecisive. The 4-hour is going flat after running up. This could create a bull flag that could try to push us forward. It would be hard to draw because you could also call this a drop down, and we could be trying to make a little mini bear flag, so kind of choppy depending on what you want to draw. RSI could come down. Momentum is losing strength. Money flow is bullish. VWAP is breaking into the bearish territory. If our VWAP favors bearishly here, momentum will continue to drop. Money flow will continue out. However, if this VWAP can make a higher low, then get a higher high, we can create a new bullish trend that could propel us forward, break our 28 resistance, and possibly trend us toward that 34. Over on this 2-hour, we are starting to pull back. Exercise caution. Stochastic is selling off. RSI is dropping. Momentum is pulling back. VWAP's in the bearish territory. Our money flow is starting to kind of sell off as that momentum pulls back. So if our VWAP continues to favor bearish, momentum will break bearish, and the money flow will make a break toward that neutral, possibly flipping trends. Over on the 1-hour, we do have a manipulation X. This manipulation X does want to break us down. Our VWAP is favoring the bearish territory. We do have lower lows. If we get a lower high, this could solidify a bearish trend. Our momentum is in the bearish territory, and the money flow is flipping bearish as well. Stochastic's pushing down, RSI is weakening. If this VWAP continues to favor bearish here, we will see that lead to the higher time frame starting to roll away, and we could get pushed down. If we get pushed down and break our 25, then we will see lower price targets. However, if we meet bullish momentum around that area, we can sustain this range and possibly see another push to help us get near that 34 if we do not get that push sooner rather than later. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.